Hi everybody, I'm your host Dr. D. Welcome to another segment of Greater Day Cafe. You are participating in season 5. So I'm so excited today because my topic is single living. We got to talk to some single people today, including myself. And so I have been, I've really started to become a little bit more faithful to my communication background, and I'm looking at social issues through that lens, using my academic roots to talk about how we think, talk about, and then act out all of these different issues in life. And today we're going to discuss how we think, act, and talk out single living. So I've got with me Tracy Horn. Hi, Tracy.
Hello, Davina.
I'm so glad you joined me today. And then I've also have Jarvis Meeks. Say hi to the people, Jarvis.
How you doing? Happy to be here.
I love it. It's got that male voice. How you doing? Happy to be here. I love it. So first of all, I think it's so unique because when we talk about single living today, we are coming from 3 different, perhaps, aspects, right?
Absolutely.
So I've never been married. I've not birthed any children, but I have the blessed privilege of raising my grandniece. Tracy has been married and has a son. Jarvis has never been married, and yet he has 2 sons,
2 boys,
I think. Okay,
right.
So we're able to talk about this, you know, using or coming from some different perspectives. Now I'm going to admit up front, the way we talk about this is probably going to be different than 18-year-olds. so we're going to talk from singleness with a little bit of experience in being single. So when we talk about single living, I mean, Trace, I'm going to start with you. What sticks out? You know, you can pull from our pre-talk or just what's on the top of your head right now. What's going through your head about single living? What's one of the first things you think about?
Well, the first thing is, like right now, I'm in the middle of buying my own home, and that's something I never thought I would be doing as a single woman. So I'm like, shout out to all the single people that are homeowners, because I'm about to be one.
But why is that big? Because that's important.
Well, I always thought it could only happen if you were part of a couple. And so to take that responsibility and to know that I don't know all there is to dealing with a home and to take that risk. And so I think single people, I just feel really empowered that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I feel really blessed.
That's big. That is big. But you know, we talked about this in our pre-talk. There's a little bit of a condemnation psyche to being single. So that many of us come up in families, environments, cultural atmospheres where if you're single, something's wrong, first of all. And that, like you said, there are certain things that you're not encouraged you're not encouraged about the power to do. You know, the power to go out and buy a home, you're single. Why not? I mean, that's one step, you know, that perhaps you and your husband don't have to take together. I mean, you've created a property where maybe you get married and now you've got one to rent out, one to live in. I mean, so many options. So it is a big deal that you ventured out to do this by yourself. Jarvis,
Thank you.
I mean, what stands out? What pops up? You know, single man, what pops up?
Freedom. You can pretty much, you know, come in and go as you please.
I've got people off the set. I got folks off the set laughing, right? Because Jarvis like freedom.
Freedom.
Right?
I mean, you pretty much can come and go as you please. You don't have a set schedule of having to check in and make sure things are right at home. You know, you can just do what you want to do.
You know what? I've got 2 responses to Jarvis. One is that probably is something that stereotypically a male would probably say when I say, what do you think of when you say single, right? But at the same time, I want to talk about the beauty of that. Because so many times as singles, the conversation becomes, when will you get married? Why aren't you married?
Right.
And what you 2 have already started to do, this is why I say this conversation could be very different than if you're talking to a group of 20-year-olds. What you already started to do was have a conversation about living single, but from the standpoint of how am I empowered in my singleness, which does not mean you're not empowered in your marriage, but since you are single, what the heck are you doing with it? And so Jarvis is enjoying his freedom.
Enjoying it thoroughly.
and Tracy is buying up property. And I love both of it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Jarvis, I agree with you. Because in the line of work that I do, some of you know multiple roles. I mean, by trade, I'm a college professor. I'm raising my grandniece. I have the blessed privilege of doing that now 6 years. Host of Greater Day Cafe, and I pastor. This sense of freedom in my singleness this is the way I say it. Maximize your singleness.
Right.
That's the way I say it. And it doesn't mean I don't want to be married and I'll never be married, but since I am single, I might as well maximize
it. Gives you the ability to, to engage in different things. Like I like to mentor, I like to do different things. So me being single, I'm able to dedicate the time that I have to doing things that I enjoy doing. And so in being in a relationship, sometimes, you may not have those. I've been in relationships where I haven't been able to do some of those things because, my time is wanted in other areas. So I have to pull back from mentoring or pull back from doing different things because I have to share that time in other areas now. So. Okay,
so now let's have this conversation. Let's say when you get to the point and you feel like you're ready to get married, maybe you meet somebody and you're like, you know what, I think this might work. How do you think you might negotiate? And I'll come back to Tracy too, because Tracy's been married, and then your profession really gives you so much credibility to talk on this issue, right? So what conversation do you think you might want to have with a future possibly Mrs. Meeks? Because when you get married, do you think you're just gonna give up mentoring?
No, I think I'm realistic, and I think I have to cut back on some of the mentoring that I do, or find different ways to do it. Maybe I won't tutor, or I may not mentor 4 days a week. Maybe do it 1 day a week, and maybe do 1 day a week for 3 hours. That way I can get more guys together in one setting instead of doing one-on-one mentoring. Now it becomes a setting mentoring where I have 3 or 4 guys, 3 or 4 young men coming in at the same time, and we're talking and doing things at a different time. So I think I can work it out, and I can make it work if I meet someone and we decide to get married. So that's not the end all be all of me being single and not being able to do that mentoring
See,
stuff.
I know I'm not talking to a 20-year-old single, because a 20-year-old single would have said, my freedom to date as many people as I want. Jarvis is on the show talking about my freedom to mentor. I mean, that's awesome. That's incredible. I love it. Yeah. And I'm not judging the 19, 18-year-old. You probably need to have some conversations so you can get to know yourself and them, okay? Get to know, because a huge part of dating is that you learn about you. Absolutely. You get a chance to learn about you as you're dating. It's not really just about learning about the other people, but I have learned so much about me in my seasons and cycles of dating. Tracy, even in your practice, merging with your personal life, what kinds of conversations might you want to have moving forward if you meet someone and you say, I think this might work?
Well, I think for me, it's really exciting to be in between relationships, because we learn so much about each other when we're in relationship. And then when we're not in a significant relationship, we can learn what works, what didn't work, what do I like, what don't I like.
For example?
Well, for example, I thought having somebody that was very generous and very giving, that was really important, and it is very important, but I recognize they have to be able to cut back, and they also have to give to me. I have to be able to cut back and be able to give to that other person. And I think it's just hard to sometimes set those boundaries and ask for what you need, and also be able to listen to that other person say, this is what I need, and it may not be what you want to hear.
What you think about that, Jarvis?
That's true. I mean, that's true. 'Cause, I mean, like I've learned so much. My last relationship, I learned more about myself and what I like and what I need.
What'd you learn about yourself?
I learned that I listen and I hear you, but I don't directly act on it. And so I had learned that, okay, I hear you and I understand what you're saying, but instead of doing it 2 weeks from now, maybe I should do it in 2 days, And so I think it was that balance of me trying to manage everything else that I was doing and putting her on the back burner. Sometimes she felt like I was putting her on the back burner, So it's one of those learning moments that you have to learn, for yourself, is time management. How do I do things, and being able to be considerate of other people's time and their feelings when.
I think there's a lot of validity in what you're saying. I spend a lot of time with my nieces and nephews, and I have said to them, use the time now, because when Auntie gets married, it's gonna be cut short. You take an R out of that. So that we might have to find some creative ways. And I know some individuals listening might say, well, gosh, why is it that a single conversation going into marriage is all about what you have to give up? Does it sound like that? Are we saying that? What are we saying?
Well, I think I'm not really thinking single going into marriage. I've been there, done that, and frankly, I've done it a couple of times, really tested the waters. And so I think, well, I'm a middle-aged woman, so I've had more experience since the first time I got married. I was 18. So I've learned a lot, and at this point, I think it's really important to have a network of friends, have my spiritual community, have the things that I'm doing and loving. Like now I'm going to clown college. I'm doing things at this stage of my life that I never thought I would be doing.
You're maximizing your singleness.
I am maximizing my singleness, Davina. Yes, I am.
Maximizing your singleness.
And being happy.
Yes.
Being happy with being single and not feeling like, oh, wait a minute. I got to be getting prepared to get married because that may or may not happen. And so I have to be happy being me.
Absolutely.
In my own skin.
You concur.
Absolutely, yeah. Because like she said, like having that freedom just to go out and do clown school.
Jarvis is like freedom.
Clown school, like, you know, so I mean,
We
this
shall overcome.
coming out and being able to do things like that, you know, I think that's awesome, you know. To be able to,
I'm just messing with
I know,
you.
and I understand it, and I understand it, and I get it, you know. I get it. I'm on that freedom thing, you know. Because, you know, I've been, you know, it's been challenging, you know, in certain areas as being single and being a dad of 2 teenagers.
Yes, yes.
You know, and so
yes.
I understand, you know what I'm saying? Well, they're 17 and 15.
Yeah.
I'm looking for more freedom as they get to 18.
As the mother of a grown man, a young man, here's to freedom, because it does happen, but you will always be their parent.
This conversation is so different if we were 20 or whatever. Okay, listen, my producers are letting me know I only have 3 minutes. I just knew we weren't going to get to all the stuff on these notes here, so we're definitely going to have to come back and do another segment on living single. I mean, we got all kinds. We got to talk about, you know, in the pre-talk. Yes, sex came up in pre-talk. Sex came up in the pre-talk. So we didn't get to that. We didn't get to a lot of stuff. So we're gonna have to come back to single living. Okay, very quickly. What's your speech? You might have already given it, freedom. But what's your speech to singles?
Enjoy it. I mean, do things that you want to do, experience life, so that way you can bring those experiences into the relationship. Don't be afraid to try new things and explore.
Tracy, what's your speech?
I totally second what Jarvis said. So enjoy being single, enjoy this freedom, enjoy this period in your life. Take chances, take risk. Do things that you wouldn't normally do, because that's going to add to your self-esteem, your self-confidence, just that whole sense of being you.
I love it. Okay,
Thank
listen,
you.
I know the producers they're about to give me the wrap-up sign. I know that's coming. So listen, I would say that taking the notes from Jarvis and Tracy, I'm going to encourage you to be whole. Be whole. Find out what it means to be whole right now as a single person. If you're not whole as a single person, don't think you're automatically going to become whole as a married individual, if that is your goal. I admit that it is my goal to be married one day, okay? But in the meantime, I'm maximizing my singleness. I am living a whole life. And I understand that when I get married, we may have to make some negotiations, and I'm willing to negotiate. But in the meantime, learn how to be happy, okay? Thank you. Thank you. We got so much more to talk about. Join us the next time on Living Single. We're going to talk about the sex stuff. We're going to talk about some lessons learned. Yes, because I got some lessons learned from my dating situations. For example, I'm just going to leave this as a cliffhanger. I have learned that when a man says he's not ready to marry, that means he's not ready to marry you. Ooh, run. I've learned that. And quite frankly, I'm going to be fair, because when I've said to individuals, I'm not ready to get married, I really was meaning I'm not ready to get married to you. That was a truth that I embrace as well. All right, that's a cliffhanger. Come back to Living Single, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to my tech, Erica Hundell in the back there. I want to say thank you to the camera people, Linda and Brianna, and I want to say thank you to my producer, Becky Yetar. I don't know if I said that right, from B Stellar Productions. Have a greater day. Bye. Wow, we did it.
We did it.
Wrap it up.